Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Irish Hypnotherapy Conference 2025 Meet the Speaker series. And today we're talking to Sue Peacock. Sue, welcome. How are you?
Hi, John. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. And welcome back to Dublin.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fabulous conference.
It's going to be great fun, and everyone's going to both learn and have fun at the same time. So, really looking forward to it. You, Sue, last year you gave a really, really great talk, but this year you're doing something different entirely.
Yes,
It is still medically based, however, but
yeah. It's still medically based because that's the area that I practice in and most interested in. So this year I'm talking about endometriosis and the sort of the therapeutic potential of clinical hypnosis.
okay. So just for those who didn't see you last year or aren't familiar with who you are, a little bit about who is Dr. Sue Peacock.
Well, I'm Dr. Sue Peacock. I'm a consultant health psychologist. I've been using hypnosis in my practice for probably about 12 years or so. I've been a psychologist for about 25 years, but I found that psychology is good, absolutely lots of different techniques. But because I worked in a pain clinic, it wasn't always meeting the mark, was traditional psychology stuff. So I got really interested into hypnosis, and now I use it pretty much most of the time. So it's great. I love it. um, so yeah, I mainly work in long-term health conditions.
Okay.
I've published in academia and the media, and I've written a few books all about pain and stuff.
Right. Okay. And is pain your primary focus?
Yes, yeah, yeah, long-term health conditions, but sort of chronic, persistent, long-term pain kind of thing is the main thing I see. But as we know, the issue isn't always the issue, is it? So they may come
We're
with
only
pain.
just talking about that before we press record, actually.
Indeed, indeed. But it's sometimes it's not necessarily the pain itself; it's the impact of the pain on people's
Yes.
lives. Yeah.
Yeah. And um, you're based in London, isn't it?
No, I'm based in Milton. Well, I'm mainly online these days, but my clinic is in Milton Keynes.
Okay. Okay. My geography
Um,
of the UK is quite
well,
poor. I'll have to get a
roundabout
map.
roundabout capital of the UK.
Us Cork people say that about Cork as well, even though the Dubs claim it. I don't know. Yeah, it's only I think they've been hypnotized into believing it or something, just like Londoners. Anyway, I get grief over that. Uh, so on your talk, you're going to talk about energy. Like, here, you can pronounce it, energy practice. And is the you're talking about the power of hypnosis to heal? Is that pretty much
Yes, yeah, I'm going to talk about endometriosis, which is a sort of a chronic gynecological condition, and it affects so many women, sort of about 10% really. And it's one of those things that it's not just about pain, it's one of those really prevalent conditions, but so under discussed medical conditions because it's sort of shrouded in that sort of social stigma and misunderstanding. On average, it takes about 8 years to get a diagnosis, an accurate diagnosis.
what?
And of course, that in that time, it's really affecting the quality of life. It causes chronic pain, fatigue, possibly infertility, affects productivity, workplace staff, you know, all of that kind of thing, really. So it's a massive, big issue that needs talking about more.
I get it. And in terms of hypnosis, do you use the hypnosis for the pain and the side effects, or would there be underlying emotional conditions behind that cause in the first place?
Yeah, well, we tend to use hypnosis for managing the pain, sort of interrupting that pain cycle and reframing the pain signals, reducing intensity, frequency, all that kind of stuff. And obviously, we do, promoting relaxation, calming the nervous system, reducing the muscle tension, inflammation, all that kind of stuff. We look at reducing stress and anxiety because obviously, if you're living with a long-term health condition, it's really quite stressful and
Yeah,
anxiety provoking. And we sort of look at easing that emotional distress, um, and thinking about things like shame because that's quite a big issue. So kind of reducing those shameful feelings, feelings of guilt, all that kind of stuff. Um, Things like improving sleep, even because sleep's always affected with pain, isn't it? For some people, it's about supporting fertility and reproductive health. But overall, I'd say, as the sort of broad umbrella term about it, it's about empowering people to cope, women particularly, to cope with long-term health conditions.
Okay.
Um,
That's fascinating because I know, I know some conditions where, there really isn't any medical solution for it, but all that's actually medicated is the side effects, panic attacks, anxiety, all that kind of stuff, that comes with that unexplained pain, or people don't have the freedom to do what they were able to do before because of medical conditions. So, I mean, that's a huge part, in terms of helping people to understand that. Um, and actually, we're very lucky because I think at this is one of at least three conversations on medical related issues.
yeah, it's
Uh,
great. It's
so,
hope we can start to take it into the medical profession, and they can, start to see the benefits of how fabulous hypnosis is and how beneficial it is to people.
and that's the thing, and I think sometimes we often forget, because as we were just talking before, but there was a video that was going out about by I think it was Davina McCall about how hypnosis effectively changed her life at one point in time, and she wasn't even going for that particular issue. So
Yeah,
we forget the power of the mind because we see this stuff on a continuous basis. But it is really, and that's one of the purposes of the conference, is kind of letting everybody know, well, reminding those who work in it, how affecting, how effective their work is, how impactful on people's lives, but also letting others know that as well.
yeah, it makes such a difference, doesn't it, to people's lives? And sometimes, even now, after doing it for so long, I still think, wow, that's brilliant.
Yeah, there is nothing better when you see that smile on someone's face, or almost like the years have rolled off their face by the time a session is over. It's just truly wonderful to see it. Um, yeah, brings a smile to the face, brings job satisfaction that we don't necessarily get elsewhere.
Yeah,
Um, and you've spoken all over the world, haven't you? I mean, you've been carrying this message
yes,
everywhere.
I try to. Yes, I beat the drum for hypnotherapy.
Well, I mean, I know, like, say, for instance, in Belgium, there are hospitals that run pre-surgical hypnosis. There are, there's more and more books out about it now in terms of the effects of medical and the mind on the body and that mind-body connection. Um, so it's just about getting it more into that mainstream that allows, and that's why these talks are vital, but also to give therapists an understanding, because sometimes people will walk away because I don't know how to do, I'm not qualified to deal with that, or whatever. But most of the time, you're actually dealing with the stress or the anxiety or the pain, or whatever it is, which is stuff that most therapists are well equipped to deal with.
I think so. I think people underestimate the skills that they do have, because they think, oh, we just do this, just do that. But actually, that could be the bit that makes a difference. And sometimes it's not about what we do; it's who we are,
Yes.
and giving that space to that person, and that opportunity for that person to be heard and listened to and validated, and all of those things that are really important to particularly people with long-term health conditions.
Yeah, of course, rapport building would be a huge part with people with long term because, taking the mind body connection and the expectation affect the power of expectation. I mean, rapport and belief are probably the two primary keys that need to be established.
Absolutely. I think it's really good that, there's so much more sort of evidence base that's starting to be published in academia now. So, the doctors and the medical profession as a whole are going to have to start to take it more seriously soon, aren't they? Because there is that growing evidence base,
Mhm.
which is great.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. Okay, so your talk will be over the weekend. It will be on energy. I can't even pronounce it. The words can't come out, so I apologize. I'll have to learn it before that.
Endometriosis.
And it's the surprising power of hypnosis to help. The surprising power of clinical hypnosis. Um, and it's going to be a fascinating conversation, and it's definitely worth anyone's time and attention to go to it, because what it will do is it'll just create awareness about the ability of hypnotists to improve the quality of people's lives,
Yeah,
even in
absolutely.
areas you mightn't think. Because one of the things that And one of the things that I keep, I suppose, coming back to is that as hypnotists and hypnotherapists, we have an influence on people's minds, obviously with the client's permission,
Yes.
but the mind determines everything that happens.
Yeah.
You know, the mind determines whether we eat properly, whether we dress properly, how we think, and the long-term effect of thinking on our body can cause illness. We also know that. So as hypnotherapists, there isn't really anything off limits.
No, no, we can do whatever we choose to do, I guess, which is great.
But
And
yeah, well, obviously with safety and everything else. But I mean, basically, once we know that we can work with people's minds and can improve the quality of people's lives by working with their minds, then uh, you know, the potential for hypnosis is very much unlimited, is limitless actually.
it's awesome. Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know. Sue, thank you so much. Really looking forward to seeing you in Dublin on the 5th and 6th of April.
Looking
And
forward to
to
it. See you there, John.
Absolutely. And to everyone else, thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Look forward to seeing you in the Clayton Hotel in Liffey Valley on the 5th and 6th of April. All the details are on www.irishhypnotherapyconference.ie. And wherever you are in the world and whatever you're doing, have an absolutely amazing day.